Hey man, see how I wrote that too all nice and pretty? This is for you guys.
Are you fucking serious? Come on now. We're trying to make love here!
I still can't open my eyes while this closes. Just is what it is. Anyway, we're going to go right into Iron Man 2. For those of you that are like, Kevin, you're wearing the same thing you wore during Iron Man. That's because we had to shoot it again. Because I wear green during green screens. Yay. Anyway, first and foremost, a couple of shout outs. We got Red Dot on the shot at Red.Tem. Behind the camera. Appreciate you as always, bro. And then we have Capital Workspaces for the space, as you see. Is it nice? Probably. Anyway, you guys can probably only see the light and me behind me. Or me and then the white that matches my skin behind me. And then we also have the space next to us, which they also allowed us to use for Running with Scissors, which is the shirt I'm wearing right now. It is a dark comedy podcast featuring me and my best friend, Evan. Boom. We talk about a lot of things. If you get offended easily, it's not for you, and I don't care. We also have one last shout out to Audio One. If you like radio, or not movies, but music, podcasts, news, all in one, now you can. Audio One. So first and foremost, we're going to get into what this movie's about. Iron Man was the original, was the creation. Then we had a really bad movie, which I talked about in more detail with the Incredible Hulk review. Yikes. And then we also had Iron Man 2, which was also... We'll talk about it. But this was the creation. This was the bookends of Iron Man all the way to Endgame. Iron Man's the main character. This is the second part of his story. He gets 3 movies and then a couple of movies he's in to build his character. This is probably one of the more important ones. It talks about him as an alcoholic, which is a huge part of the comics. MCU, and then when they became Disney, kind of faded away from that. Nah, he just drinks for fun. Not that he had a serious problem. And then also the fact that he had to grow into being a hero, which he was now publicly. So he deals with the ghosts of his father in more ways than one, both positive in creating an element to help sustain his suit and save his life, and facing off against a villain his dad created before he even knew about him, back when he outed one of his partners back in the day. So returning is Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, great of course, Gwyneth Paltrow, fantastic in this role. She has more to do. She's now almost directly the CEO. She deals with more stuff. She is the boss. And she has a much larger role as far as not only his lover and his interests, but also someone that's directly helping him along the way. She knows he's Iron Man, and she's helping him, along with Happy, director Jon Favreau. We also have Paul Bettany back as Vision. Still doing a great job, but man, he's just a voice right now. He becomes much larger in Vision, or WandaVision. So shout out to Paul Bettany, but you're not quite there yet. You're just Jarvis. So we almost lost Samuel L. Jackson. I've never said that word out loud about any movie, but they almost lost him before this movie even started. There were contract disputes. They were going to have him for X amount of movies. He wanted to do this. They weren't on the same page. Jon Favreau saved the day again. He went over and he talked to Samuel L. Jackson. He got that shit settled. And that helped keep Nick Fury, who is huge in later roles such as Winter Soldier, and also just the fact that it's Nick Fury. I mean, the dude's awesome. Captain Marvel wouldn't be half as good as it was without him. And I'm glad that we were able to keep him. Shout out to Jon Favreau for being able to have the balls to do what Marvel obviously couldn't in that situation, solve the problem. Don Cheadle replaces Terrence Howard, and he does a fantastic job with it. He is obviously got a little bit of a tan since he last was there, and he's gotten a lot skinnier too. But he keeps the role going. He's still the ally, but he's also the friend, but he's also the voice of reason, but he's also kind of an adversary in this. He doesn't always agree with what Tony wants to do. He doesn't do a fantastic job with dealing with some of the things that Tony wants to deal with, but he's there for him in the end. He's his best friend. He's always there for him, even when things don't quite go the way that they want to go. So he does a great job in that. Don Cheadle kills it later on. This is not his biggest role, even though he finally dons the suit. Terrence Howard said next time, Don Cheadle said right now. So they do a great job. with that. Although this is, again, just them bickering as friends. He's not quite there as the hero role. He's more of just another guy in an Iron Man suit. He's not quite War Machine, which he will be in the next movie. And also the Iron Patriot for a movie, which was yikes. But Scarlett Johansson's in it. God Jesus. God Jesus. Scarlett Johansson. I've never loved a white woman more. Sorry, Mom. But yeah, so Scarlett Johansson is in this, and she is gorgeous. She could literally have had the worst acting on earth, and I'd still give her an A+. But she does great as Black Widow. She introduces herself as this secretary or whatever. And then she kicks the shit out of Happy, and then she shows that she's a badass. She takes out a whole room of guards by herself. You get to see a little bit of that Black Widow action you'll see more of in April or May when the movie actually comes out. But she does great. Clark Gregg as Agent Coulson does great. He ends up running his own damn TV show later. Spoiler alert. Psych, I don't care about spoilers. This movie's like 30 years old. And then we also have Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer, who is the cocky tech wizard that directly interfaces with Tony Stark, tries to partner with him, tries to give him ideas, and then just ends up being his enemy, his adversary, his not equal. And it's kind of funny because Tony Stark literally just bitches this man every single time. Like, he outs him. He's smarter than him. It shows. So what does he do? He teams up with Mickey Rourke, who looks like if you had way too much plastic surgery as a man and you should do better. But Mickey Rourke kills this role. And it's a weird thing to say because a lot of people hate him in this movie or don't give him credit. But listen, Mickey Rourke was so hardcore, every single tattoo on his arms, on his hands, on his neck, on his body, are actual prison tattoos from gulags and Russian prisons. This man did the research to know what gangs this guy would have been in, what groups he would have associated with, and who he would have let ink him. Like, every single tattoo is damn near legit. Of course, it's not a real tattoo, but he does that well of a job doing the research on his own and giving them ideas for what needs to be on his body. He also made sure that he talked mostly Russian in a lot of scenes because he wanted to be as legit as possible as the son of this disgraced business partner. That's hardcore. They cut out most of his scenes in this movie. That's a disgrace. If we had seen more of this guy, he would have gotten even more of a pump from this movie, which ended up letting him do that fighting movie later on. I think it was called Warrior. Don't quote me. There's the fighter and there's Warrior, and I keep mixing up which one was Mickey Rourke. But that role was given to him after his role in Iron Man 2. So he got a little bit of credit, even though a lot of critics and fans don't quite like his role here. But that's because, like Superman versus Batman and like Justice League, half the scenes were cut. You can't have a good movie with that. Nitty gritty, they're real deep into this movie. There's 11 different visual effects companies in this movie, and it shows. This movie is way more CGI. Half the suits are football suits, which football suits means if I just had this shirt on and nothing else, and this was the armor, everything else would be CGI. It's just a guy and this. This little top part is the only thing that's actual, like Stan Winston style, real armor. Everything else is CGI, and it shows. Some of those effects don't hold up quite well because, like I said, this is 11-year-old CGI. It's not quite much better than the 12-year-old CGI I bitched about the last movie. So that's a problem, and it shows. And this movie wasn't handled as gracefully as it could have been. Not any fault of Jon Favreau. Honestly, this movie was kind of pushed there. It entered active production while Iron Man was still in theaters. So the studio was like, shit, that's making money. Boom, Iron Man 2. They pushed it too fast, and we ended up getting a instead of a whoa kind of movie. The Mandarin was actually almost the main bad guy, which is hilarious because they said no only because he was too fantastical. What did they do in Iron Man 3? Fuck it, we'll make him a fake Mandarin. So that was fun. And now we have actual witches in the MCU, so that fantastical thing looks kind of silly that the terrorist dude was too crazy for him. We also had tech produced more futuristically. What that means is that the tech in Iron Man is almost possible today. Not the suit. They've tried to recreate the suit. Doesn't quite work. Sorry, Japan. But they've, like, a lot of the stuff that he had from the arm that picks up the stuff, and that stuff's real, and that stuff's actually probably possible today. And they wanted to go more futuristic to make Iron Man look that much more of a genius, make the tech look that much crazier. So they ended up making the tech look even more futuristic in this one, from the lasers to the creating the damn element in like 5 seconds in your room. That kind of stuff is because they wanted to be ahead of the curve, knowing that in 10 years, 20 years from now, some of that stuff might be real. As far as the fun facts, I actually do have 5 fun facts for you guys. Even though this movie isn't my favorite, I liked it enough to do this. 1. Kid at the Expo is Spider-Man. It's been confirmed that is Peter Parker that has a little Iron Man helmet on and goes boom towards the robot, and then Iron Man goes behind him and actually blasts him. That's Spider-Man. That's Peter Parker's first role in the MCU, which is awesome. Iron Man suit, or sorry, that's something else. But the John Slattery Howard Stark character is only 2 years and 8 months older than Tony Stark or Robert Downey Jr. So his dad, the guy playing his dad, is that much older, which means maybe drugs is the reason you look younger, kids. And then we also have the film dedicated to DJ AM. If you guys don't know who that is, that's the DJ where he's like, "Oh, DJ, play this song so I can kick my buddy's ass too." That's DJ AM, who was a very famous DJ in his time and unfortunately passed away during filming. They ended up dedicating this movie to him. Shout out to DJ AM, RIP. Robert Downey Jr. gained 20 pounds. Get your weight up, fella. 20 pounds of muscle for this goddamn movie. That's dedication. This dude didn't even have to do that. This guy could have been fat doing half the role he did. And he ended up gaining 20 pounds of actual muscle and hitting that gym harder than Captain America to get this role done. And this is the dude that wears tech the whole time. Doesn't even need to be strong. We also have the fact that Ivan, who is Mickey Rourke's character, there's a scene where Justin Hammer, Sam Rockwell says, "I need the robots to salute." And those are the robots they end up producing and putting into this expo. And they end up blowing the place up and shooting out Iron Man and boom, boom, bang. And then the guy said, Ivan, Mickey Rourke said, "I can make him salute." Salute, S-A-L-Y-U-T, in Russian means fireworks. He straight up told Sam Rockwell what he was going to do. "I can make him salute," as in I can make him blow shit up. That's kind of funny. And that's a nice little Russian pun that Mickey Rourke slid in there knowing what he was going to do. So, final verdict, I'm still going to give it a watch. I think it's a fun movie. It's not the worst MCU movie you could watch. We talked about that one, the last one. It's not awful. There's a lot of fun to it. It's a 7.5 out of 10. It's a C. It's not awful. It's not great. It's more middle of the road, average, as a C would be in school. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Iron Man 2. Next, we will be going into a more fantastical film in Thor, which is weird that the Mandarin was too fantastical, and now we're going to talk about the God next. Cool. But that's Watch or Skip, guys. If you like this, like it. If you want to talk about more movies, or you want to talk about this movie, or you want me to review a movie that you really like, talk about it, comment below, let me know. And then as far as, subscribing, you'll get to see more movies. They'll tell you when I release new ones. I'm hoping to be able to release a lot more soon as we change the setup, where I get to put a lot of knickknacks and cool stuff behind me instead of this white wall that looks like I'm in prison talking to you from a cell. So, love you guys as always. Appreciate you. And this was Watch or Skip.